Hej world, jag heter Zack the Demon Lord. Hey world, this is Zack the Demon Lord, and yet again another YouTube video. You know what it is. This is another Vildhjarta song where I go through, explain the lyrics and the grammar of the Swedish behind it. But yeah, let's get into it. The song we'll be going over is the song called Brännmärkt, which, don't worry, you'll know what that means later on. It's in the lyrics. But yeah, let's go. So the first line we have is Se framför er. So look ahead, you. Or, as you might be able to tell, is what it's trying to say in English is look ahead of you. Like, look ahead of you. That sort of vibe. And then, next line we got Sådana usla vilsna våp. Such wretched, lost weapons. Which, in English makes sense. I think is a lyric. Kind of a lyric that... I mean, heavy metal does this. Any genre of metal does this. They have some interesting lyrics. But yeah, it's just an interesting lyric is what I'm trying to get at. And then, next line we got Längs mörkret stigar har de länge vandrat. Along the darkness's paths have they long walked. Which in English makes sense if you think of old English, but not with current English. It would be something like, they have long walked along the darkness's paths, or the paths of darknesses. Of darkness. Yeah, something along that line. But yeah. And then the next line we got, Men det finns en väg tillbaka. Which, I've probably talked about this. Finns is an interesting word. Because when we literally translate it, it would be like, but exists a way back. But what it means is, but there is a way back. Anytime you want to say something exists, like there is, that sort of stuff, you say det finns, which means it exists. But yeah. So, but there is a way back. And then, next line. En plats har I vår flock. A place here in our flock. Which, it makes sense in English too. And then next line we got For dem som förkastar sina synder. For they who forsake their sins. Which connects to the last line. A place here in our flock for they who forsake their sins. Which makes sense in English. But yeah. I think in English though, it makes sense, but I think just thinking about it, maybe it's just American English, I don't know. I feel like we'd be more tempted to say for those who forsake their sins, because of I feel like in a church context at least, we like to use, I think that would be the most correct way, even though they is in a way more correct, but yeah. Anyways, next time we got Ta min hand. Take my hand. So it's in the command form, saying, hey, take my hand, grab it, take my hand. But yeah. And then the next line is, Låt mig visa vägen mot ljuset. Let me show you the way towards the light. Which again in English makes sense. And then we got, Vad utspelar sig framför mig. What unfolds before me. Which this is an English, a very interesting sentence. Looking at it, so vad is what, utspelar, the unfolds is connected with the se, so it has to be connected. It's one of those. It's a reflective verb. You need to have a sort of like he, she, it, me sort of marker after. So It's like saying what unfolds it. What unfolds it. But, like it as a subject. Anyways, hopefully that makes sense. And then framfor, before, or like before as a like in front, with the me, which is me. So like in front of me, like what unfolds before me, what unfolds in front of me. That sort of vibe. But yeah, which I think in English we would say like, what is it that is unfolding before my eyes or something. But I mean in Swedish, I mean it still makes sense in English, the technical, the way the grammar and the way things said. It's just I feel like there's other ways in English that it would sound better. Anyways, then we get the next line, which is "Är detta platsen jag minns?" Which is this the place I remember? Is it? In English, that makes sense. Next line. Kuvade under tyrannen. Subdued under the tyrant. So, is this the place I remember? Subdued under the tyrant. So, obviously, this place is not a great place. And then we get the next line, which is connected to the title of the song. Brännmärkta. Branded. As in like, not like, I think when we hear branded, we think of like a brand. Someone's created a brand and then it's been copyrighted. Not that sort of brand. We're saying branded in the form of someone's taken a hot iron brand and put a mark in someone's skin. That sort of brand where you burn a mark in someone. Because brenn comes from burn. And then märkta comes from mark. So burn marked is essentially how you could translate it piece by piece. That sort of branded. And then the next line is, and by the way, in this song there are some repeat lines, so don't let that bug you. Se hur glöden befriar dem från deras synder. See how the glow frees them from their sins. Which in English you might think, interesting. But it does make sense, because what it's saying is like, see how the glow, as in the glow from the hot, fiery iron, frees them from their sins. So obviously the iron is, squelching hot, so it's red. You can see the light coming from the heat, and as they're marking the people, it's supposedly freeing them from their sins. Obviously, I don't see how that would free someone from their sins, but obviously metal sometimes has some pretty harsh lyrics. Okay. And then, same line but slightly different. Se hur glöden befriar dem från synden. See how the glow frees them from the sin. So instead of their sins, it's the sin. So, I mean, you probably understand. I mean, makes sense again. And then we got another sentence which says, Hur de föds på nytt. How they are born anew. So it's kind of like a baptism. In this case, it would be a baptism of fire. They're being born anew. They're being branded, essentially. Obviously, whatever religion this would be is kind of extreme, but yeah. And then we got the next sentence that is med or me eldens rennande krafter, which is with the fire's purifying power. So how they are born anew with the fire's purifying power. So again, it's a rebirth through fire. Kind of like a normal baptism is a rebirth through water. We're having a rebirth through fire. And then the next sentence is bröder och systrar, brothers and sisters. Again, a very churchy feel. Vi välkomnar er tillbaka. We welcome you back. So, again, very church-like. Tystnad sprider sig. Silence spreads. Again, this is you might have caught on. This is another one of those reflective verbs. The sprider, which is spread, has to be connected with like a say, may, so on and so forth. Whoever it's talking about. So like if I want to say I spread, I don't know how I would spread. I'm not like peanut butter or jam. I can't really spread myself. But if I were to say that, I'd be like, jag sprider mig, right? It's a reflexive, like whoever the doer is, there's another pronoun at the end of the verb that reflects that. So think of it as like it spreads itself, silence spreads itself. Hopefully catch the grammar that's going on. And then we got another sentence, the next one. Stanken av vidbrand vidbrand or vidbränd hud. This might be a touchy line for some people, but the stench of burnt skin is what they're saying. Because think, they're being branded, they're literally burning their skin. It's going to have a stench. So the stench of burnt skin. Obviously, this could remind you of some things that happened, what would that be, like 80 years ago? 80 plus years ago. Might remind you of a certain event. But that's more of a full burning compared to this. But, yeah. So if it is touchy, I understand, but that's the lyric. And then the next sentence. Ett bevis på förlåtelse. A proof on forgiveness. On meaning of. So a proof of forgiveness. What is baptism for? It's for forgiveness. And this is sort of a baptism of fire. They're being forgiven through fire. And by the fire mark, that's becoming a proof to them. So in a way, it's almost like if baptism were getting a tattoo. Like just a symbol of a permanent mark on your body. The sign of your forgiveness. Which, of course, this is an extreme form of baptism. Not that it is a baptism, but I'm just saying, as an example, that would be understandable to most that would watch this video. And then we get the last line, which says, Iskam snyftar den sargade. In shame sniffles the wounded. So, a proof of forgiveness, in shame sniffles the wounded. Maybe the last line, in English, we would probably change it to like, the wounded sniffles in shame or something. But I think it also, in some way, at least for me, makes sense. Again, though, when you're a linguist and you study language after language, you just catch on. You just know how to read the air. But yeah, that's the last line. I hope you liked this. I hope you learned something. If you did, though, please give a like. Please subscribe. Please share with friends and family that would be interested in this sort of content. And yeah, we'll see you in the next one. Till then, hey-do!